Hey friends, so welcome to our third lesson in this unit on angles and triangles. So last lesson, we were focusing on those two parallel lines and the transversal that crosses the two of them, and all the properties that we could figure out with those. We're going to turn our attention to triangles today and see if we can talk about a few properties of triangles. Now, one property that I would want you to know already is that the sum of the three angles in a triangle add up to 180. Good job. I heard you. Good work. All right. So in the diagram, angle MTH is an exterior angle of triangle MAT. I'm just going to hide myself for a sec so you can read those words. Determine the unknown angles in triangle MAT and write them on the diagram. Okay, so I know I've said this in other videos, but just in case, just so that we are all on the same page here, I want to just review. I'm just going to turn ink on here for a sec. When I say angle MTH, what that means is going from M to T to H. Okay, so that is the exterior angle that we're talking about. Okay, so we want to figure out what this angle is and what this angle is, but we're going to call them kind of in the same frame. We're going to call them with three letters where the corner itself is always in the middle. Okay, so the first one I want to work on is ATM. So I'm going A to T to M, if you can follow my mouse there. So that's this angle right in here that we're looking for. Okay, so I know that these two angles form this straight line, and therefore they have to add up to 180. Okay, so I'm going to use that and figure out what that angle is. So I can say that angle ATM is 180 minus 155, which means angle ATM has to be 25 degrees. So now I know that this in here has to be 25 degrees. Well, how could I now get this guy? Well, in this whole triangle, I know that the sum of angles, the three angles in a triangle, have to add up to 180. And so I can now just go 180 minus the two that I know and get the one that I don't know. So angle MAT is 180 minus 40 minus 25. And we know that angle MAT is 115. Okay. All right. So now what do you notice about angles ATM, MAT, and MTH? So they're asking you, hey, what can you deduce? This was 115, right? What can you deduce between this angle, and this angle? I want you to notice, oh my dear, 40 and 115 is 155. So the two angles that are not adjacent to the exterior angle, when we add them together, they will actually equal what the exterior angle is. Okay. All right, awesome. So we are noticing that angle AMT plus angle MAT equals angle MTH. Now, in a minute, we're going to ask you to do that in words. But first, let's just see if it works all the time, okay? When we like to prove things, we don't like to use just one example, right? We like to do it for all possible situations. So let's take a look at this drawing here, where now I've just labeled everything as X, Y, Z, and angle A is my exterior angle. Okay, so I know that X plus Y plus Z has to equal 180. Okay, because those are three angles inside the same triangle. All angles in a triangle have to add up to 180. I also know that Z plus A has to equal 180 because it forms a straight line. Well, now think this through. If X plus Y plus Z equals 180 and A plus Z equals 180, then A has to be whatever X plus Y is, right? Because they both have Z here already, and they both have to equal 180. So I can now say, okay, that means A has to be X plus Y. Okay, so now we've proven that that is always going to happen with an exterior angle and the two non-adjacent angles inside the triangle. Okay, so determine the relationship between an exterior angle of a triangle and its non-adjacent interior angles Now we're just putting into words what we just did with the letters. So the two non-adjacent interior angles added together will equal the exterior angle. Okay. All right. Awesome, guys. Okay, so let me just hide myself for a sec. Determine the measure of angle NMO, angle MNO, and angle QMO is what the question is asking. Now, when a question asks something like this, don't assume you have to find them in the same order that they were given to you. I'm actually going to pick on MNO first. MNO is this angle right in here. Well, why would I pick on that guy first? Because my eyes see, I just want to get into a little highlighter here for a sec. My eyes see this backwards Z, okay? And with that backwards Z, I know, hey, if that's 67, this also has to be 67, okay? Okay, well, that tells me that 20 plus something has to give me 67. Oh, well, then I know my something is 47. I just have to subtract 20 from 67. Okay, so when you're doing these things, you want to show me the answer, obviously, but you also want to back it up. You want to tell me, give me some sort of supporting evidence so I know you know what you're talking about. So we are looking at, okay, angle MNO is 67 minus 20, which means it's 47 degrees. But my reason is I'm using the properties of alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles there, okay? All right, well, friends, now that I know that this is 47, I can take a look at this big old triangle here and say, well, I know two of the three angles, and I know that all three angles have to add up to 180. So I'm now ready to get that NMO. Okay, so angle NMO has to be 180 minus the 47 minus the 39. And so angle NMO is going to be 94. Okay, good. So now I'm left with just trying to find that QMO. Well, for QMO, I know now that this is 94, and then my eyes kind of dart to this, right? Because QMO is right there. And I say, okay, well, that forms a straight line. And I know that any straight line is 180 degrees. Okay, so that gives me enough information to figure out what angle QMO has to be. Oh, yeah, by the way, back up your statement. I got so excited I went to the next thing. Sum of angles in a triangle is what I had used for angle NMO. I forgot to show you that, I'm sorry. Okay, and then as I was saying, QMO would be 180 minus the 67 minus the 94. So QMO is 19 degrees. And my backed up statement is because I know those three angles create a straight line, so they're supplementary. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so now for the following parallel lines, list all the pairs of angles for each of the following conditions. Now, again, like always, you should pause me and see if you can state these yourself, okay? Assuming you've already done that, I'm now going to go through the answers. So vertically opposite, we're looking for the X and we're looking for corners of the X, right? So I've got 1 and 4, 2 and 3. I've got 5 and 8 and 6 and 7. Those are all my vertically opposite angles. If I was corresponding, well, for corresponding, now I'm looking for things in the same spot. So I've got 1 and 5, or I've got 3 and 7, or I've got, trying to change the color of my ink really quick, 4 and 8, or I've got 2 and 6. Okay, so those would be all of my corresponding. Hey, that's kind of pretty. Those would be all of my corresponding angles. Okay. All right, for alternate interior, I would be looking at the Zs, right? The corners of the Z. So I've got either 3 and 6, or I've got 5 and 4 here. Okay, either 3 and 6 or 5 and 4. Alternate exterior. Well, I'm doing kind of the similar thing I just did, except now I'm on the outsides of the parallel lines. So I'd actually be looking at 1 and 8 or 2 and 7. 1 and 8 or 2 and 7. Okay. Finally, supplementary. There's actually a lot of supplementary angles here. The first thing I'm going to do is just go horizontally, and then I'll go vertically. So I've got 1 and 2 could be supplementary, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, or 7 and 8. I could turn my orientation the other way though and say, okay, look at this though. 1 and 3 also are supplementary because they form for this line, or 2 and 4, 5 and 7, 6 and 8. I've also got 3 and 5, and 4 and 6 would also be supplementary. Okay, 3 and 5, and 4 and 6. Okay. So those would be all the ones I would want you to see right away. I neglected to say 3 and 5 and 4 and 6. So let's go 3 and 5 and 4 and 6 there as well. Okay. Okay, awesome. Now, that's where we're going to stop for today. So I've listed your homework. You're just practicing with the concepts of the 3 angles in a triangle equal 180, and this concept of extending, so that extending a line of your triangle so you have an exterior angle, and running through all of these vocabulary words with the parallel lines and the transversal, just making sure you're comfortable with all of that. Okay, so give yourself some time to do the homework. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure you come and chat with me. That's what I'm here for. Okay, you guys got this. Take care.